Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Friday, it is the live game preview ahead of our Premier League fixture at Goodison Park on Sunday against Manchester United. Tough game obviously. Man United being in quite good form recently. Obviously we've seen them get a massive win last night in the Europa League. They also have strung together a couple of decent performances in the Premier League and decent wins. So we know it's going to be a really tough game, but a game that I really do believe Everton can win. And a game that I believe Everton should be going out to win as well. Obviously, very disappointed at the defeat last week against Arsenal at the Emirates in a game that I think a lot of us felt after it that we probably didn't deserve to lose. We had a plethora of opportunities towards the end of the second half and we simply just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. So this is a big chance to bounce back. Man United, obviously in and around a similar position to us. I think they're a couple of points ahead of us, but it's all very tight in the Premier League at the moment, and if we beat them, obviously we'll go above them, because that tends to how it works really in it around this time of the season, especially given obviously how tight the Premier League is at the moment. You've literally got Everton, Sheffield United, Wolves, Burnley, Man United, Tottenham, Arsenal, all of these teams that are in and around about 2 or 3 points, 4 points away from each other. It's only literally a win, and the table can change so drastically as we've seen in the last couple of weeks or so. So it is a massive game for both sides. Obviously it's massive for Everton Football Club. We need to bounce back after that defeat to Arsenal. It's really important that it's a home fixture at Goodison Park. Obviously we've seen how previous results have gone against Manchester United at Goodison Park. We don't do too badly. Obviously the 4-0 victory against them last year under Marco Silva, one of the games that one of the highlight games of Marco Silva's Everton career. And you know what, I honestly believe we can go out and we can put a similar performance in on Sunday, and I think we can go out and get the win. Obviously, Man United have got a lot to play for. They are, in this belief that they're fighting for the Champions League place, and they are fighting for the Champions League place. Chelsea beat Chelsea a couple of weeks ago. Chelsea are dropping points as well. So like I said, everybody's in the sort of fight for European football, whether the expectation is the Champions League or the expectation is the Europa League, and Everton and Manchester United are very close in the Premier League table at the moment. So it's going to be a really big competitive game of football. Obviously United have massively bolstered their squad and bolstered their playing staff with the bringing in Bruno Fernandes in January, such a fantastic midfielder. Really rate Bruno Fernandes, and he seems to have settled down fantastically at Man United. He's got a couple of goals, obviously, albeit penalties, but he looks really comfortable on the ball, very consoling, and it's really important that Carlo Ancelotti gets the midfield right in this game. I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm not going to go in on him. I'm not going to, say he was wrong or try and question his reasons as to why he done it. But personally, I just felt like he got the midfield wrong last week against Arsenal. And I think it's really vital that he gets it right this week against Manchester United. Like I said, they've got the likes of Bruno Fernandes in there now who will control the ball, who will happily take the ball on, push it forward. A couple of months ago, Manchester United had a pretty average midfield. They had a Fred who wasn't playing very well. Scott McTominay, who's good but limited in what he can do. Now all of a sudden they've brought in a Bruno Fernandes, a real leader, sits in the middle of the park, can control the game, and all of a sudden Fred next to him's looking like a world beater. So for me, I think Carlo Ancelotti really does need to go. Really does need to go with a strong midfield and a midfield that can obviously counter that. And for me, that must include one player, not just one player. Obviously, I'm not saying just go with one in midfield, but it must definitely include one player, and that player is Andre Gomes. We're going to talk about Andre Gomes in a second. We'll go through my predicted starting 11. We'll also talk about Carlo Ancelotti's pre-game press conference. But it is time to bounce back. We've beaten Manchester United at Goodison Park in similar circumstances before. They're not the best team on the planet. Yes, they're in a good run of form, but we've seen how poor they can be when they're poor. And I honestly believe we can go out there on Sunday. And I think we will go out there on Sunday and win this game of football. Obviously, everybody was very disappointed, including the playing staff, including Carlo Ancelotti, after the defeat to Arsenal last week. But it's time. It's about time we pick our heads up now after being beaten too many times in previous years. If we just dropped our heads, lost one game, dropped our heads, and that being it, we go on a bad run of form. It's time to pick our heads back up and go out and get a 3 points. Carlo Ancelotti's been talking about European football today. He said they very much still are in a race for the Europa League, and this is a massive game in terms of winning it as well. So yeah, listen, like I said, for me it's massively important that we go out there. United are a decent side on decent form. They've got some decent players, but ultimately obviously, the defence is shaky at best. I really don't rate Harry Maguire, who they brought in. I don't rate any of their other defenders. I don't mind Wan-Bissaka, I think he's a good defender, but any of the others I don't rate. So for me, I think this is a big opportunity for us to go out and get the 3 points. And not only will it be a massive 3 points in terms of it being a massive game, and beating Manchester United at home obviously is also a big a big deal, because they're still seen as one of the biggest teams in England, but it'll also be a massive result in terms of the Premier League table as well. Not only will it mean that we'll sort of pick points up on the teams that are around us as well, especially if the likes of Wolves, Sheffield United, Tottenham, Chelsea drop points this weekend, but it'll also mean that below anything, even if Tottenham and Chelsea or Sheffield United, Wolves, whatever, all win this week, if we beat Manchester United, it still puts us points above Manchester United, who are a close rival, and will put us ultimately above them as well. So we're playing a side that are in and around us in the table, and it's really important that we go out and we put a performance in, and hopefully we do get the 3 points as well. So I want to talk about Carlo Ancelotti's pre-game press conference. He's had it today. We're going to talk about my predicted starting 11 in just a second, but there is a couple of things just to mention on the back of the press conference. Firstly, nothing to do with the press conference really, but in case anyone's interested, Everton and international tyre manufacturer Davanti Tyres have announced a renewed and expanded multi-year global commercial partnership. So there you go, Davanti Tyres and Everton renewing their partnership. But I suppose the biggest bit of information that's come out of today regarding the squad and regarding sort of obviously the press conference, Carlo Ancelotti's pre-game press conference today. It's obviously every week it's injury news. Injury news is the first thing you look towards, the first thing you want to hear. You want to see who's fit, you want to see if there's been any injuries, and unfortunately there has been an injury over the last week. Morgan Schneiderlin will miss Sunday's game against Manchester United and will actually spend some time on the sidelines after he picked up an injury on his knee last week against Arsenal, obviously away from home last weekend. So Morgan Schneiderlin out of the game on Sunday doesn't leave us with many midfield options. Obviously it's not fantastic. Morgan's been in pretty decent form recently, I think it's fair to say. He stepped in and he's done what he's needed to do. Obviously he's injured, and it just so happens that Andre Gomes is coming back to fitness. I do think Andre Gomes will start on Sunday, and I hope he starts, because for me, he was the best player in an Everton shirt when he come on last Sunday. But I suppose, why mess about? Why, sort of skate around it? Let's get into this predicted start 11 straight away before we talk about the rest of the game. I've gone for Jordan Pickford in goal. Again, not many options. I'm not going to sit here and talk about why I believe Jordan Pickford should be in goal. There's not many options, is there? Let's be honest. I've gone for Luca Dean at left back. Now, Carlo Ancelotti did speak about Luca Dean and Theo Walcott today. Obviously, they both missed out last week through injuries. He spoke about both players. He said that Luca Dean has been training individually and will be assessed tomorrow before Sunday's game, and Theo Walcott is fit to play. So obviously that's really interesting. We don't quite know whether Luca Dean will be 100% fit. I think Leighton Baines had a fantastic game, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, against Arsenal. I think he done really well. I think that left-hand side of the defence was nothing really to worry about. It was more the other side, the Sidibe and the Mina, who I think had a little bit of a shaky game. But I thought Leighton Baines was absolutely fantastic. The reason why I put Luca Dean in there, if past fit, obviously if Luca Dean isn't past fit, it will be Leighton Baines. Luca Dean will come out. But the reason I put Luca Dean in there, if past fit, is because I just think he'll have a little bit more energy than Leighton, and I just think he'll be a little bit quicker to certain situations. Obviously, we know Manchester United have got a really fast attack. They've got players like Daniel James. They've got players like Anthony Martial, if he's fit. I'm not too sure if he's fit. I heard a rumour on social media about how he might be injured for this game, but I'm going to base off the fact that he's available. Players like Anthony Martial, Mason Greenwood, Daniel James, players who can bomb it forward, even Wan-Bissaka from fullback, who have got absolutely bags and bags of pace, and I just don't want Leighton to get sort of caught up in that. Now, for me, I think arguably if you were to put the two players next to each other, I think Leighton Baines is a better defensive player. I think probably at the moment Luca Dean's better offensively, but I just think in terms of energy, obviously he's got the youth on his side, he's younger, he'll have more energy naturally, more stamina, etc. So for me, for that reason, and the reason that Man United have got a lot of fast players and a lot of players that are quick on the counter-attack and can beat a man, I put Luca Dean at left back. I've gone for Mason Holgate and Yerry Mina at the centre of the park. There's been a couple of rumours surrounding Mason Holgate over the last 24 hours or so, linking him with a move to Manchester City. Apparently a couple of newspapers coming out saying Manchester City are really, really interested in taking Mason. Carlo Ancelotti was asked about it today. He spoke, he said, "It is a rumour. I can say Mason Holgate is an important part of the future of Everton, and there is no possibility he can go to another club. Zero possibility." I absolutely love that. I love so much that Carlo Ancelotti is basically coming out and saying, no, you've seen the rumours, whatever, in the exact same vein that he spoke about the rumours of possible incoming players to Everton in the summer, and he said, the names you read in the newspaper and the names you see on Sky Sports aren't real. He's basically saying a similar thing about Mason Holgate, saying he's not going anywhere, and I love that a manager's coming out and saying, no, he's settled, he's a big part of our squad going forward, he's not going anywhere. So Mason Holgate and Yerry Mina in the centre of the park, and I've gone for Seamus Coleman at right back. Now, I actually felt Seamus Coleman should have played last week against Arsenal. Obviously he didn't. Again, not really in a position to criticise the manager, not really in a position to have my 50 pence worth as to why I thought Carlo Ancelotti was wrong. But Djibril Sidibe played, of course, and I just felt like he didn't have his greatest game, did he? Let's be perfectly honest. He struggled at times, he got caught out a couple of times, and he's been caught out, a couple of times over the last 2 or 3 weeks, especially the game against Watford for their opening goal. So, personally, I've gone for Seamus Coleman again for the same reasons as why I predicted he'd start last week. This isn't really a prediction, it's more of what I want. If I was giving you an honest prediction on what I think Carlo Ancelotti will go with, I'd probably say Djibril Sidibe. But in terms of what I would like to see, I'd like to see Seamus Coleman, because I just think he offers a little bit more sort of stability defensively. And although a little bit contradictory in terms of what I was saying about the left-hand side and the fact that I probably see Leighton Baines as a better defender, but Luca Dean having a little bit more pace. Again, I'd probably see Seamus Coleman as the better defender, but Djibril Sidibe having a little bit more energy and a bit more pace. But I just think Luca Dean, for me, is much more solid defensively than Djibril Sidibe is. And I think Djibril Sidibe has cost us, not just him on himself. I'm not just going to go in on him, but I feel like he's cost us over the last couple of weeks. So for me, I've gone for Seamus Coleman, plus the fact that Seamus Coleman had a fantastic game against Crystal Palace the week prior to the Arsenal game. And I didn't think he put a foot wrong, and he could deal with a player with the pace of a Wilfried Zaha running at him constantly. So hopefully if he does start, he'll be able to deal with the pace of somebody like a Wilfried Zaha, but we'll have to wait and see. Going into the midfield now, midfield 2, I've gone for the start of Andre Gomes. I think this was always going to happen after his performance against Arsenal coming off the bench last week. My decision that Andre Gomes was to start this game against Manchester United was made at the final whistle last week, when he come off that pitch and he looked absolutely fine and he didn't appear to have an injury. I thought he was fantastic when he come on, best player in an Everton shirt for me, took the game by the scruff of the neck, wasn't afraid to get involved, wasn't afraid to make a tackle despite the injury that he's had, picked the ball up, was spraying passes, was using it really, really well. And I said it last week in the instant match reaction, I've said it on Twitter multiple times, I just feel like he is by far our most technical midfielder. And if Andre Gomes is fit, Andre Gomes needs to be in this team for Everton Football Club. Obviously, we've heard the news today about Morgan Schneiderlin, and now he's going to be out for the foreseeable future with an injury to his knee that he sustained last week. So I feel like Andre Gomes will start on Sunday, and I hope he does start as well. Carlo Ancelotti spoke about him today. He said he's ready to start. He is closer to start than last week. He trained well, normally and properly. So there you go. Again, just basically reassuring everybody that he's ready if he does take that decision. He was also asked, strangely, I thought, about if there's any pressure on him, and there's pressure from Ancelotti on Gomes, and if there's any pressure from Ancelotti, pressure from the fans, pressure from the club about getting back in and starting, and I thought it was just a little bit of a strange question. Ancelotti rubbished it basically and said there's no pressure whatsoever. If he's not ready, he doesn't play. If he is ready, he plays. It's simple as that. Next to him, I've gone for Gylfi Sigurdsson. I know this might frustrate a few people. Carlo Ancelotti's commented on Gylfi Sigurdsson, and we'll talk about it literally in a second. If you're enjoying this team, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second, and it means an absolute massive amount to me. If you're new to the channel as well, don't forget to subscribe. I'll get into the live comments in just a second. But Gylfi Sigurdsson, obviously, I feel will take the place next to Andre Gomes. Again, minimal options, really. You're looking at either Gylfi, Fabian Delph, or Tom Davies. Tom Davies hasn't really had a look in recently. Definitely not in the starting 11, so I don't feel like he'll start. Fabian Delph hasn't been great either. he's had his games this season where he's looked really poor, and I just think Gylfi Sigurdsson will take the place next to Andre Gomes, and we've seen those two play successfully, to be fair, in the midfield for Everton multiple times. So I think obviously it'll be the first time that Carlo Ancelotti will be able to see them together since taking over as manager. So I just think that's what he'll go with. On top of the fact that he's been talking about Gylfi Sigurdsson today, Carlo Ancelotti, and he said the expectation I have with him, he was able to realise he's doing well, and I have no complaints with him. So again, there you go. It's again, I think that's probably one that baffled a few Evertonians, certainly myself, and maybe one that we didn't want to hear. But Ancelotti seemingly coming out there a little bit like he did about Jordan Pickford last week and saying, he's got absolutely no complaints and he's doing what what I've asked of him. And whether Carlo Ancelotti is asking Gylfi Sigurdsson to just stand and point and not really do an awful lot in the game, I don't know. Whether he's just saying this to sort of keep the morale of the team going and keep the morale positive in terms of the players, I think it's a really, really good strategy if he is. And then I suppose we'll see the ruthlessness in the summer, whether he actually believes that Gylfi Sigurdsson's doing what he needs to do, or whether in the summer he goes, listen, basically I was telling him that so that nobody fell out, he's not good enough, he's going to leave the football club. I don't know. I'd like to hope that whatever's coming out of Carlo Ancelotti's mouth is the honest truth, which is really, really interesting, considering for me as an outsider looking in, obviously as a fan watching Everton every week, not being the multi-Champions League winning best manager in the world, winning coach who's standing on the pitch, monitoring these players and talking to these players every day. Personally, just from me looking out from the outside looking in as a fan, I just think he's been so poor this season. Before Carlo Ancelotti, after Carlo Ancelotti, I just think he hasn't had more than 2 games for me this season where I look and go, you were absolutely fantastic today, you were unbelievable. He just hasn't. Carlo Ancelotti obviously has told him to play a little bit more of a defensive role than he would usually play in the number 10 position, and maybe that's the reason as to why we're not seeing him as involved as enough, and we're not seeing him sort of creating as much opportunities as he used to do. But Carlo Ancelotti's seemingly happy with him, so I've gone for Gylfi Sigurdsson on in the centre of the midfield next to Andre Gomes. On the wings, I've gone for Bernard and Theo Walcott. Bernard obviously again, has been in relatively good form recently, been putting in some good performances, and I just think he deserves his opportunity to start. Theo Walcott on the other wing. Alex Iwobi really didn't do for me last week. He didn't bring anything that I don't think Theo can bring. Plus, before Theo Walcott's injury against Crystal Palace, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. He put in the ball for Bernard's goal, obviously a fantastic cross, and I feel like over the last 3 or 4 weeks or so, Theo Walcott has stepped his game up a little bit and has started to really show his quality at times. He's not, it's not fantastic, and maybe we need somebody else in the summer, but he's giving us more at the moment than Alex Iwobi is, and that's why I feel like if he's fit, which Carlo Ancelotti says he is, he'll be in the starting 11. And then obviously the two up front, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, don't need to say really, much about them. Obviously both getting on the score sheet last week away at the Emirates. Fantastic goal for Dominic Calvert-Lewin and a clever finish by Richarlison as well. I think both have been in absolutely fantastic form recently. Okay, granted, they missed a couple of opportunities between themselves last week that could have ultimately, drawn us level and possibly even won us the game, but I don't think we can ponder too much on that one. The pair of them have been absolutely fantastic over the last 10, 12, 14 weeks, whatever, and I think they'll definitely be in the starting 11 on Sunday. Anyway, that's my predicted starting 11 for the game against Manchester United at Goodison. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section down below. We'll dive back into the live comments now before we finish up and talk a little bit more about the game. Steve says, Cam, let's get out there on Sunday, lad, and remind them there at Goodison it's going to be another 4-0 game in our favour. Come on, you Blues. I hope so, mate. I really do hope so. Jess says, is a Blues news meant to be blank? It is today. I haven't put anything in there basically because I wanted to get the graphics sorted so we could get live as soon as possible. So it is meant to be today. Obviously, usually it's filled and it will be from now on, just blank today. Everton TV says, hi mate, how are you? I'm not too bad, mate. I hope you're doing well. He also says you attend the Manchester United match. I will be there. I'll be there on Sunday, sitting in the park end as per usual. Kevin says, once again, the press are trying to sell our players to the so-called top clubs. Exactly. It always happens, mate. Apparently, in the press article, Manchester City were offering a swap deal for Mason Holgate, and as part of that swap deal we would receive John Stones back, which I just absolutely wouldn't take in a million years, because I think now Mason Holgate is a better defender than John Stones both was at Everton and is now currently. Ethan says, score prediction, I'm going to go for 3-1 to Everton. Ethan says, let's get back to winning ways this Sunday, I hope so. And Reece says, Bernard and Gomes need to start. I agree 100%. And like we said at the start of the season, Man United are a team that are in relatively good form at the minute. Obviously got a big win last night in the Europa League. However, that does mean that players like Bruno Fernandes, Mason Greenwood, Wan-Bissaka will all have been slightly fatigued. Obviously, it's never good playing on a Thursday and then playing on a Sunday, especially against the side that have had a week's rest. So I fully expect Everton to go out and put a performance in, and I fully expect us to get a result against this Manchester United team. They don't scare me. Yes, they've got a couple of good, tricky players going forward, and yes, if you make mistakes, like with any team in the Premier League, if you make mistakes, they can pounce on them, they can hurt you. But for me, it's about Everton putting in a good defensive performance like we've come to see under Carlo Ancelotti or Goodison this season, putting in a decent defensive performance, not letting Manchester United get anywhere near us, and then hitting them on the break, hitting them the other end, because I really feel that Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are going to be far too much for their defence, and let's hope we go out and do that on Sunday. Antonio Davies says, are you going to be in the fan zone? If you are, what time? I'm not too sure yet. If I am, it'll probably be around an hour before the game, but I'm not 100% certain as of yet. I'll tweet it out if I'm going to be there. And Gort says, Bernard plays at his best when Gomes starts. IMO. Everybody plays better when Gomes starts, because Gomes raises the level of everybody else, and everybody has to rise to that level because of how well he plays. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. If you're new to the stream, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram as well. Links and usernames and all that sort of stuff are down in the description below, so don't forget to go and check those out and follow us over there. Big game for Everton on Sunday, big game for both clubs, big game for Manchester United as well in terms of the Premier League table, and if we win, I think, again, we forget about last week against Arsenal, and we do, again, solidify ourselves as a team that are truly fighting for European football. So let's hope that that is the case. Big thanks for watching once again. Don't forget, I'll be back with the instant match reaction on Sunday afternoon, straight after the game. So don't forget to join us for that one. And then, of course, we'll have the live game review on Monday night as well. Big thanks for watching. Please do leave a like if you have enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. DBLXP says, Cameron Charlison beat AVB. Last time out, he struggled a bit running at him. Granted, AVB is one of the best. I think he can. He didn't have he did struggle last time out, but he scored again last season. Obviously, did they sign him in the summer? They signed him in the summer, didn't he? But again, the game against Manchester United at Old Trafford, we pretty much we were winning for 80 minutes, 80 minutes, something like that, and then they equalised. And Reece says, God, so does Luca Dini. He's a different player with Bernard in front of him. I agree with that one as well. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.